You are listening to the 312 Squadron podcast. My name is Andrew.
My name is Nick.
My name is Emmanuel.
And in this episode, we are going to do a dive into game balance, power creep, and the design spaces of X-Wing, and more. But just to kick it off, how was everybody's weekends? Anything crazy happen? Nick?
You may dispense with the pleasantries, Andrew. No, I just wanted an opportunity to say that. I'll actually answer the question. I never get to quote Vader saying that. It's great.
There you go.
My weekend, I'm trying to think about, I had a pretty busy week. It's one of those things where you have a busy weekend and then you forget about everything that you did. Yeah, we Friday night we streamed in person. Manny was over, Frankie, Matt. We did 3 games of in-person X-Wing on my place. And then we went out for
forgot about that.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah. How could we? But we did. That was a lot of fun. My Imperial list is still super broken sometimes, apparently. And
especially when you know how to fly it.
Yeah, it's true. It helps for sure. We went out for some celebratory drinks after, and then Saturday, laid low. Got some takeout at my favorite Italian place by my parents' place, crashed there for the night, and then Sunday just kind of cleaning up all of the equipment from Friday. That was my weekend. I remembered everything.
Sounds good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Always successful. Yeah. How about Manny?
Yeah, I mean, Friday is already explained. Saturday just went climbing. Sunday, I swam and had lunch with a couple friends. Basically it. Chill weekend, no complaints.
Nice. No, it sounds great. It's also I'm happy you're able to get out and do the climbing and swimming.
Yeah.
Nice. I can't remember if I mentioned this last week, but I'm an uncle now. And
You did. You posted
yes.
in the chat.
How's
Yeah.
that?
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Any uncle wisdom you would like to share with all of us?
Well,
technically, I'm also an uncle, so
there you go. I mean,
you're the creepy uncle, Manny, no doubt.
No, I
forgot that I'm
sure
technically an
seem to be
uncle, but years ago.
the fun uncle. I was going to say you have more uncle wisdom than I do. No, they have a boy and he's super cute, and my plan is just to spoil him and be as fun as possible.
Yeah, you got to be the fun uncle for sure.
Yeah.
And it's a good dynamic. Andrew's the fun uncle, Manny's the creepy uncle. You get both sides of the uncle.
you need one of each. You need one of each, or it's not a true family.
Oh yeah, always 2 there are, no more, no less. Yes. And to quote Yoda, I mean, come on. So he's obviously referring to uncles when he talks about them. But that's awesome, man. Congrats. That was a very adorable photo that you shared with our group.
So, that's been a lot of fun. And then the second is I went to a record release. One of my friends from college is in a hardcore band called Snuffed, which if you're into like hardcore and metal, they've been taking off pretty big in like Chicagoland area. So that was an absolute blast. Find their new album on Bandcamp, just to do a little plug for my friends there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
You gotta plug your friends for sure.
But it was a great show.
That is awesome. I hope everybody watching live here, because we have our subscriber only Twitch stream going right now, and those who listen to this when it comes out, I hope you all have had a good February. It's winding down. This is the shortest month. That does sometimes feel like the longest, but honestly, guys, I don't know about you, this month has been going by fast, and I think it's because of the weather being actually genuinely great here in Chicago. Today it was in the 50s again.
Yeah, climate change is real.
It's real.
It's wild.
Real, but doesn't mean you can't enjoy the after effects of it.
Yeah, we get to in Chicago because it's exactly. Chicago's just going to be
You're
like
on
San Diego.
East Coast or West Coast, you're screwed. But like here in the Midwest, we just have tornadoes, and even then, they're not that bad.
Dude, at one point, it was warmer here than it was in Los Angeles.
Yes,
in the middle of the day.
To say.
And in Florida too.
That's almost like I can't believe you. There's like, it's like, how is that possible? Yeah. But yeah, I hope you all have been having a good February and have had a good weekend as you listen to this, because this will come out on Monday. Yeah, it's good to hear. We're all doing fairly well. Yeah. We're looking ahead to March in the spring, and obviously Worlds at Adepticon in our backyard, and
it's coming up.
Get to so excited to see all of the people that all the friends that I've made through Twitch, playing the game, at events, online, everything. The podcast. It's just all super excited to have
That's
everyone
right. Yeah, please come say
together.
hi. We'd love to talk to you.
Come say hi. We'll have our world shirts on too.
Yeah,
We'll have our Chicago Worlds 2024 shirts on. So won't be hard to miss us, or will be hard to miss us rather.
well, speaking of all of the exciting things like what we're looking forward to in Worlds, something that we've been looking forward to since last World was the Battle of Endor scenario coming out. So that's some of the big news that we have is now all of the pilots information is out there. It's up on the builder so you can start theory crafting lists with them right now.
Yeah, and as
So,
someone who's streaming, games on our channel, and also a part of the draft league, people are playing Battle Over Endor. I've gotten a chance to see, little glimpses at certain pilots. There's a lot of interesting design spaces being explored and ideas. Some are very good, some are balanced, some are not so balanced, and I'm excited to talk about our impressions of what we're seeing so far.
yeah, I was going to say this is where we really want to dive into it. So, I was wondering, Nick, if we wanted to start with you, what your impressions of the Battle of Over Endor is currently.
Yeah. So I have a small sample size of data and games that I've watched and streamed, and I have to say that they genuinely seem like a lot of fun. I would say that's one thing, as somebody, the person playing the components, the player themselves will have a lot of fun with almost all of these pilots. There is a lot of abilities and a lot of triggers and a lot to keep track of. And if you take two, three, or four of those, or more in a five ship list, for example, it might be overwhelming at first. I think that's might be a learning curve that everyone's going to go through. Just when you put all these new pilots down, getting used to what you're trying to look out for and try what triggers you're trying to catch and make work. But overall, fun. Pretty good. I don't know how meta warping it is. You have TIE fighters, you have some interceptors, you have the Falcon, in Lando, you have this new Soon tier, right? And the interceptor, like I said, and the B Wings, which I think is the most underrated and exciting aspect of this, is because B Wings have not been like shadow banned, but like kind of just not really getting played. And I would
Yeah,
love to see more of that. I think that's great for the game. So stuff like that, I'm on board with. So yeah, that's
yeah,
my TLDR. Fun, interesting. Some too good, some that balanced pretty well, I think.
yeah. Manny, how about you?
I haven't really taken a good look into any of these cards,
Manny,
so
Manny prepared.
yeah, yeah, straight up. So I'm
If you
learning
guys
by these
wonder why Manny's
cards
not
as we
always
go through
on,
it. This is why. This
he's
is exactly
he's in the
why.
doghouse every other recording
I'm
session.
quickly going through the cards right now,
I'm
and
just
boy,
kidding,
do they have
everybody.
a lot of effects.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of triggers, lots of upgrades compared to, to the Battle of Yavin, and it's a separate league.
yeah. There's a lot of really cool design decisions that they've made. The pilots look genuinely fun, and a couple of them look very pushed, and basically be the best in their faction possibly, just right out of the gate. And it's going to be interesting to see how the addition of these ships is going to shake up the meta. So I think it's great that you've already seen some play testing with it already, and that's kind of nice to have that data before it officially releases.
Yeah.
Everybody at home too. I mean, it's going to be out by the time that you listen to this episode, so it's going to even be interesting to see, what.
Hopefully, yeah. I'm not sure what the delays are like.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, so hopefully you'll be able to
It's
get
at
it
least on tabletop, and people are playing it on streams all the time right now. So
right.
that we do have that. And shout out to our last episode. We talked about online X Wing. We had Greg Cash from Nickel City X Wing on, and we were talking about TTS and Vassal and everything. And I mean, it's a great tie-in to how helpful that stuff is when you can have access to this content early before you physically get it. You can try it out.
Yeah. Nick, I know there was a couple of pilots that you really wanted to highlight. Do you want to start with the Rebel faction and dive into that?
Sure, yeah. I'll do. I talked about my love for B wings and trying to get them a little bit more relevant. I'll do Gina Moonsong, who's a battle over Endor 5 point B wing. with an extra shield. So it has 5 shields and 4 hull. Same stat line though, 3 attack and 1 agility, 4 hull, 5 shields, and 2 recurring charges. With these actions, focus to red barrel roll, target lock, and then also a barrel roll to red target lock and a red reload. Her ability as an I-5 B-Wing is at the start of the engagement phase. If a friendly Braylon Strom ship at range 0 to 2 is stressed, you may acquire a lock. Now, Braylon is the other half of the Battle Over Endor B-Wing release.
Yeah.
We can talk about him in a moment, but it's similar to the kind of what you need for the boys, the Backstabber and Mauler, needing a specific pilot nearby, or in their case, in their side arc. So at range 0 to 2, if Braylon is stressed, you may acquire a lock. So this is an at the start of the engagement phase
I was
trigger.
gonna say this reminds me a lot of just the Anakin Obi-Wan
That too, yeah.
effect as well. Yeah.
Yeah. It
But
also has a
yeah.
secondary. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I no, I was gonna say that it does seem like a lot of these new sets have this like paired pilot ability thing going on.
Yeah, and secondary and a primary and secondary pilot abilities,
Right.
which I think in some cases is a little overwhelming. But we get one with Gina with called Gyro Cockpit. After you gain a stress token, you may spend 2 recurring charges to gain an evade token. When you drop a device, you may spend 1 charge to set the template with its middle line aligned with the hash mark of the base in your side arc. So essentially, what does that mean? That means you can drop a bomb out the side of your
Out the
your
side.
your ship. That's
That seems
three
cool to me.
abilities. That's 3 abilities for Gina that
Yeah.
they put Gyro Cockpit together with the evade token side and the bomb side as one, but it is technically 3 abilities for Gina. So, which that's wild. Has a few upgrades. It's a trap is a talent specific to battle over Endor. While defending, if there are more other friendly ships than enemy ships at range 0 to 1, you may re-roll one of your blank results. So if there are more other friendly ships than enemy ships at range 0 to 1 of you, so basically being
Yeah.
having friendlies nearby, you get to re-roll a blank result, which B-Wings that can be actually kind of helpful, just
I
being one
was
agility.
get a free elusive, yeah. Why not?
Yeah. Has juke. We know what juke does while you perform an attack. If you're evading, you change one of the defender's evades to an eyeball result. Has proton torpedoes. For to hit hard with that with her ability, you can actually or rather with the primary ability with Braylon getting that lock, you can set up double modded proton torpedoes
I
pretty
yeah,
easily.
that's what really, struck out to me.
Yeah, and ion bombs is the last, so you can drop ion bombs out the side or drop it behind like usual. So that's Gina. Andrew, do you want to do? I didn't mention it, but can you do Braylon's just to kind
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
complete
I
that?
can go over Braylon too. Braylon is at I4 instead of I5 and is 4 points. Gina's 5. So the combo together is 9 points. And Braylon's ability is at the start of an engagement phase, a friendly Gina Moonsong is at range 0 to 2 is stressed. You gain a focus token. And then after you gain a stress token, you can spend 2 charges to gain an evade token. It's the gyro cockpit, the same as Gina's. While you
Hmm.
drop device, you can spend 1 to do it out the side, the middle line. So same gyro cockpit ability, but it's the other half of that stress equation. So um, a little easier to get, yeah, to get that focus token because you can do a barrel roll into a red lock, or you can even do a reload. But let's talk about what else is on. Also, like Gina has, it's a trap, which is the friendly ships are at range 0 to 1, reroll one of your blank results. Instead of the ion bombs, he has proton bombs, which is really good. And then also has homing missiles. And then also has delayed fuses. So if you drop or launch a bomb, you can place a fuse marker on it. So that might make dropping those proton bombs out the side a little more interesting. You have a better position to drop them in.
Yeah. Besides, it's a trap. The everything else are upgrades we already know and have already existed,
Hmm.
which I is kind of hard. It like likens back to Battle of Yavin, where
Yeah,
they didn't really do too much in terms of new upgrades. At least with these two specifically, it's a trap on here.
yeah. We'll get into when we talk about Empire and stuff like later. A lot of the Tie fighters have the same thing going on. They're basically just like Battle of Yavin. They're all old abilities. There's not really too many new things there.
Yeah. It seems like the Rebels benefit from more new stuff, like
Hmm.
Lando specifically. Soontir also does have that stuff too, but
Yeah,
we talked about
yeah,
Soontir in the
yeah.
last episode.
And then it seems like a lot of the rebels have "It's a Trap," so this is kind of like the Siege over
Same.
Coruscant wolf pack ability.
It's, I mean, much more widely. It's a widespread. It's for every. It seems like every Rebel pilot I think has it's a trap.
Has it's yeah,
Um,
they all know it's a
yeah,
trap.
that's Manny, do you want to do cover our A-wing friend? His name is Gemmer or Gemmer. I don't know how people are going to pronounce
Yeah,
this.
Jimmer
Sohan.
Sohan?
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, yeah, before we moved on, did we want to talk about like the Gina Moonsong Braylon combo? As do we think that like this
Oh,
one
just sorry.
is
Yeah, and just in terms of that's nine. You said nine, like you said, 9 points. That's just like the same issue with B wings now. Beside, outside of these two, is you're
yeah,
investing a serious amount of points into
this
things
is
that get
this is
hit by
half your
plasma
list.
torpedoes and get halved
Hmm.
immediately. And yeah, that is half your list, as you said.
This to me feels like a combo that was really made for the battle over Endor scenario, where it is really powerful, but this is what you want to put in a list that you have
Yeah.
35 build points with. And however, I think that even without that first ability, Gina Moonsong is just good on her own.
Uh huh.
Uh, oh, I did forget to mention Braylon also has the shield upgrade as well.
Oh, they both have
So
it, huh?
at 4 points, Braylon also might be pretty good.
Yeah,
Homing
I would
missiles
take
just
Braylon.
isn't. Yeah, I
Yeah, like,
mean
just for the
Braylon's
stat
pretty
alone.
good.
How much is Braylon again? 4
I
or
Yeah,
5?
4 points
Four.
for an I4.
Yeah,
Um,
Okay.
9 hit
proton
points.
the proton bombs are good. 3 attack dice out the front. I think though that the proton torpedoes and the higher initiative might. I mean, 5 is a
Yeah,
lot of points, but
and juke as well.
because
Unfortunately, homing missiles are one of the worst missiles or just
right.
munitions in the game. Still, yeah,
Um,
that just is.
yeah, no, they are.
They're
Yeah.
I
terrible.
Gina has the ability to have a focus evade or a target lock evade with a potential reroll. um, so yeah, I mean, I think the survivability that even gives you is good enough
Yeah,
for Gina. But
a protorp and juke combo is really punishing when you're shooting at something that took a scenario action.
yeah, oh god, yeah.
It's
You trying to
very
play the objective?
it's like
Well,
you made a
that's on
mistake.
you, buddy.
Yeah.
How dare you try to play the objective?
Gina's gonna get some people.
Good call pointing that out. Addressing the viability of the two together is very questionable, but I would certainly either of them isolated on their own in a list is certainly I think worth trying for sure with the extra
Yeah.
health. There's a lot of efficiency built into them. With being
Yep.
able to stay alive with evades is nice. They could still
I
lock.
and I mean, just talking about an alpha strike, like they have an ability if they are together though, even though it's pricey at 9 points, you are looking at a focus lock
Yeah,
uh alpha strike shot at
yeah.
least with seven
I
die.
Just with the what I've been playing recently, I just think about starter set Vader firing an ion missile at one of these things and just making them so sad immediately because they'll lose their lock
Ye-
and get ionized.
You'd need that, yeah, sure. But I mean, you can
Yeah,
only shoot at one of them. So you ionize Gina, but you're still taking
yeah,
a focus lock shot from Braylon.
yeah. Braylon being I4 is a little bit more vulnerable in terms of
Absolutely.
ion and plasma torpedo tech are very strong in the game right now.
Hmm.
Jamming as well. Those are three things that B wings just can't really get away from because they're just not very they don't have the maneuverability and the high initiative to compensate for that. So
Yeah.
those are the biggest things that would obstruct their contributions to a list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Um
just wanted to bring that up before we move
yeah,
on to
for sure.
Gemmer.
Mr. Sohan, let's do it, Manny. Who is
Yeah.
Gemmer? What initiative? All that good stuff. What does he got?
Yeah, so he is in an A-wing. He is initiative 2. Typical stats of a A-wing. There's no extra shields, so 2 hull, 2 shields. Effect is while defending, you may gain 1 strain token and change 2 of your blank results to a I result.
Up to
Uh,
2.
yeah, up to two. The chassis ability is just vectored cannons. Essentially, you perform a red boost or rotate turret action in the system phase. And should I just go over the upgrades as well? It's a trap.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
know what It's a Trap does, but chaff
yep.
particles and his target assist algorithm are too interesting.
Yeah, precision tuned cannons, that's a new one, correct? That's a new type of cannon.
Yes, and
Yeah.
precision tuned cannon as well. Yeah, that's also new.
Alright. Effect if the defenders your bullseye, add one arbor assault, a two attack no a two die attack, range 2 to 3. Chat particles while defending, you may spend one arbor assault at the end of neutralize assault step to remove one red or orange token. So imagine like flares for a jet, I guess. And target assistant algorithm, which before you engage, you may wait. Yeah, before you engage, if you have no green tokens and there are one or more enemy objects in your front arc, gain a calculate token.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, hard to kill is the kind of the bottom line. Maybe not doing a lot of damage, but a 3 point A wing that is going to be a lot harder to kill with an ability like that. Being able to change your blank results to eyeball results. It's the one reason why A wings die
Yeah.
fast is when they blank out.
yep,
I mean, yeah, guaranteeing yourself at least, against one of that is really good.
Yeah, it's one of those like there are a few pilots in Battle Over Endor that I've noticed that are like they're priced well, they're priced like fairly, but they don't have they have more defensiveness to them. But
Mhm.
in the way X-Wing is now competitively with the damage race, you just don't see how you can make it work where they would be a part of your list and you can count on them to deal damage. There's just a I think Sohan is one of those that is maybe a better objective player.
I that
Um,
is exactly what I
so
see Sohan doing.
yeah,
Um, Absolutely, it's for objectives because also you have that ability where if you are off, doing objective things like you can do the vector cannons or you can do the boost if nobody is like shooting at you if you take like that stress action then you can spend that focus token and go do something else again.
yeah,
I do like the one thing I do like that gives it a little more punch. Even if you spend your focus on defense, when you go to engage, you at least get a calculate token back. So
yeah.
no matter what, even if you're using it on defense, you're still able to utilize some mods on offense.
Yeah, exactly. Just being at I2, he just has to wait a little while to get there. But again, I think he's going to be widely ignored when he unless you have no other choice who to shoot at. He's just like "Ugh, unless I have
Oh
3 or 4
yeah,
shots into it, I'm
you
just not even
you
going to take a shot.
it's not even worth it, right?
Yeah.
Initially, yeah.
Exactly. We can, but overall, like we've already talked about, Lando and some of the other Rebel pieces, but I think this is a good flavor as to maybe the unsung, maybe not heroes, but just like yeah, let's call them heroes. The underrated, under discussed some of the pilots that we might see people tinker around with. I'm not sure how much of Braylon and Gina together we'd see maybe at Worlds, for example. But I think Gemmer will find a place, and maybe in place of a Keo or a Wedge in the A Wing, we might see Gemmer instead. I think he would be really solid, part of a Rebel list. And yeah, overall, I think the Rebels have scenarios. These seem to be built a lot more for the scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about like later in the episode on some of the where we think the design ideas are going, but
Yeah.
just as a preview for that, I feel like the design looks like they want to make Rebels the scenario faction.
Yeah. And on the other side of it, we have Empire, who I feel like is built with much more of a damage dealing mindset, which is thematic because the Empire rules with an iron fist.
Hmm.
It's about intimidation and stuff. But in the game of X-wing, is again, well, like Andrew said, we'll allude to more of this later in the episode. But how does that all come together as a cohesive balance? when you have these scenario packs. When one is more defensive and more objective based and for the scenario, and the other one can more freely play successfully in a competitive environment. I think Empire comes out on top in that regard in terms of damage potential. We got two new defender pilots we'll talk about. We got Soontier we discussed in our last episode, who is wild. I mean, what he can do is
Yeah.
crazy. He can, basically just kind of do whatever he wants. And I think something that everyone was talking about a lot was Jendon, and worth I think discussing again. A 7 point defender. The tie defenders I think always kind of been one of the most interesting and one of the coolest uh, ships in Star Wars and an X-wing, but
That
power
was.
creep and balance is a fear that developers have with this ship in this game.
Mhm.
What were you going to say, Andrew?
Oh, no, I was gonna say I've always loved the Defender. That was one of first ships that I've flown. Flew it my first tournament ever,
Yeah, was it
2.0.
um who was it that you were playing? The I5. What's his name? Rexler Brath.
Yeah, I was doing
Yeah,
Rexler Brath.
Rexler. Every breath you take, Mr. Rexler. Yeah, he's solid. But Jendon, so we have the only I6 defender pilot right now. Before Battle over Endor is Vader, and Vader is probably with that ability and that chassis is worth the 9 points. He has to be priced that way because he's so good and hard to kill.
Yep.
Um, Jendon is now the second I6 defender, which is a little scary when you just dive into all of the things that he can do. Um,
Yeah.
he's 7 points at I6. He has the same stat line 3-3-3-4. So 3 attack, 3 agility, 3 hull, and 4 shields. He has a couple of different actions than what we're used to seeing on a defender. A
Yeah.
regular defender has a focus, evade, target lock, and barrel roll boost, all white actions. Colonel Jendon has a focus, evade, link, red barrel roll, target lock, and target lock barrel roll boost. So he has a linked action in there, a Bade link red barrel roll. His ability is while you defend, if you are not shielded, you may change one of your blank results to an eyeball result. So
Oof.
the more damage you deal to him, the more defensive he's going to start to get, which is very interesting for a
Yeah.
defender. It's not really what you love to see on a tie defender pilot at I6, but um, that's something that he can do. And then he has Chiss Engineering. So instead of full throttle, which is what makes them so tanky, full throttle was after you fully execute a speed 3 to 5 maneuver, you may perform an evade action. Chiss Engineering, after you fully execute a speed 3 to 5 maneuver, you may perform a target lock action. While attacking, if you are not stressed, you may spend one shield to apply the range 1 bonus. So you can blow his shields to trigger the first part of the ability. He can roll 4 attack dice at range 2 to 3 if he spends his shields, and he also can use it paired with his proton cannon to fire a 5 dice
Yeah.
proton cannon.
Yep.
Um, he has a talent called a No Escape, which is new. While you perform a primary attack, if there are more friendly ships than other enemy ships at range 0 to 1 of the defender, you may re-roll one of your blank results. So swarm your opponent, basically that ship that you're shooting at with
And
your ships.
this is the inverse of that. It's a trap.
Yeah, it
So very
literally is.
thematic there,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you're also turning off their it's a trap ability for rebels.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, One good thing to note though, it does say primary attack.
Only
So
primary.
you don't get that with the proton cannon.
Yeah. Well,
You won't
yeah.
need to. You have a lock anyway. But
Yeah, and I was gonna say, so he has ways to do a 3 to 5 maneuver focus target lock,
yeah,
but it gets better because he has push the limit, which is kind of likens back to 1.0 upgrade. It's a talent. After you fully execute a red maneuver or perform a red action, if you are not strained, you may gain 1 strain token to remove 1 stress token. So because their dial has hard turns of the 1 and 2 variety that are red, and also a 2K that's red, he can if safe in a safe position to get rid of that stress and replace it with a strain. So he opens up his dial potentially.
yeah, and can still take actions.
Yeah. And lastly, this is the one that I think makes it scary with the proton cannons, and the ability is he has computer assisted handling. It's a 1 charge single use, so that's good at least. Um, It's after you fully execute a maneuver, you may spend one charge to perform a boost or barrel roll action. So you can target lock, focus, and then barrel roll or boost all at once um, to line up the shot that you desire.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty
Wow.
gross.
I mean, honestly, it takes away and most of the downsides of a defender.
Exactly. Like it
Yeah,
feels
I
like if you're in a bad spot, you have a way to always get out of it.
Your I6, yeah. I mean,
yeah, it's scary. It is a lot. There's so much damage potential, but at the risk of him taking a lot of damage at the same time. So you will have to lean on
you
your
gotta catch him
experience
first.
or Palpatine force to bail him out because he's how often is he gonna actually want to spend his shields? If he's not getting shot at, it's worth it every time to at least
Right.
spend one,
I
at
was
least once in a game to do it.
he's so maneuverable though. Like
Yeah.
at I6, like he can it feels like he can get out of, almost
Yeah. I will
anything.
say, I was building some lists with him, and the good news with the game, the way the game is in scenarios, the good news is it's going to be hard to build a good 5 ship list with him. You really
Yeah.
are stuck with 4 ship options, and it's asking a lot out of
Yeah.
him.
Cuz
A
I
lot,
feel like
7 points.
if you're taking, Jendon, you're probably not taking Vader, like you're doing this instead of.
At least, yeah, I mean, you're definitely not taking the Defender Vader. I mean, you could
Well,
argue
no,
the
no, no.
single
I
point
meant
Vader,
sure, but
maybe.
now, I mean, you're
That's
pretty. I
13
mean,
points,
that's
though.
13 points. You're locking yourself into. I mean, it's going to be fine. It'll be a good list, but you're really locking yourself into like a 4 list, or maybe everybody else is going to be kind of mediocre.
Yeah, so that's the good news because it's terrible for scenarios. If
Hmm.
you could bring like you could do Jendon Vizier with Palpatine, that's 11 points, and then you could do Soontir, that's 16, and then another 4 point. But again, it's just not that good.
That's
It's gonna
four. Yeah, that's
salvage. It's
four.
not gonna be able to do salvage. It's not gonna do well at assault. Scramble is a toss up.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that's the good news is that defenders are already kind of hard to play with right now, and he slots in at that 7 points that you people probably just still prefer to take Rear Admiral Chirnu instead,
Yeah.
and or Morna Key.
This is where I'm thinking that we honestly, even though Jendon is really good, we might be seeing more Captain Yor on tables.
Yeah, that's a great segue. So let's should we throw that over to you, Andrew, if you want to talk about the other defender pilot, Captain
Sure,
Yor?
I would love to. So, Captain Yor, this was the first one that piqued my interest because seeing a 6 point defender, this is the cheapest defender right now in the game. So your is an I4 only, but has this regular stat line: the 3 hull, 4 shield, 3 defense, 3 attack die, and has the pilot ability. After you perform a primary attack that hits, you can spend 1 charge. He has 2 non-reoccurring charges to perform a bonus cannon attack. And then, like Jendon, also has the Chiss engineering. After you fully execute speed 3 to 5 maneuver, you can perform a target lock action. And while attacking, if you're not stressed, you can spend a shield to apply the bonus,
The range 1 bonus, yeah.
the range 1 bonus. Yeah. Also has no escape, just like Jendon and like Soontir Fel in this set. Why perform a primary attack? If there are more friendly ships than other enemy ships at range 0 to 1 of the defender, you can re-roll a blink result. He has an ion cannon, and so that's the bonus attack that you're going to be doing with him. And then he has Predator, so cares about that bullseye to re-roll that die, and has computer assisted handling like Jenin as well. After you execute a maneuver, you can spend 1 to perform a boost or barrel roll action.
The bonus ion cannon attack after it hits is so nasty.
It's
Oh my
really
gosh.
nasty. So I mean, the good news is at I4, yours probably not going to be jamming off like target locks or doing anything better, but basically guaranteeing where the ship that you just shot at is going to be next turn is going to be huge for you lining up that predator bullseye shot.
Yeah. I will
and
say though, Andrew,
it
him
can
being
be
at I
pretty
four
nasty.
means that you're way more likely. People are going to have to make a very tough decision about spending their tokens when he can take shots at you because you spend your token.
Yeah,
He's like, "Great, I'm going to shoot you first. It hits, great, and then I'm going to ionize you as well." The spike
yeah.
damage potential is wild.
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure too. He has the ability to spend his shields. Probably not going to be doing it as much as Jendon, just because at I4 it's going to be a lot easier to catch your. And your doesn't have the the defensive power of that like evade token that the defenders usually get. But free target lock is still pretty good. He also, I forgot to mention, like Colonel Jendon, also has the same evade into red barrel roll linked action as well.
Yeah, Captain Yours 6 points, same price as
hmm
Vader. You could pair him and Vader together. That's 12 points, and you have 8 points still to play with.
Yeah,
As
and
you could,
and yeah, and this is where like I think 12 versus 13 points is a huge difference in Empire on what you can take with you. Because with 12 points, you can basically take two more 3 point ships, right?
hmm
Because at 12, yeah, 18,
yeah,
and then
you
you can
could,
take a TIE fighter.
yeah,
And then that's a pretty decent 5 point list. You can still take the other I5s, or you could do a really beefy 4 point list
yeah, four ship
if
list,
you
yeah,
really
four ship
wanted, but
list,
or
yeah.
four ship list, yeah. But I think that uh, you can, or you can even do your like soon tier the boys, and then
Boys.
a TIE fighter. So I think that being 1 point less gives a lot more buildability and potential, even though your is going to be an I4 and I5 is really the signpost initiative right now. But defenders are just really good.
Yeah, I'll always have been. Just you can't price them too cheap because they break the game, and
Yep.
they've
I
always been
mean, that's
kind of,
honestly what it is. Yeah.
yeah, which is good. I don't think I want to see everybody playing a tie defender all the time.
Yeah.
It's nice when you see
I'd
it,
like to.
but
Yeah, I'd like the option to put a tie defender in my list though.
yeah, yeah, six
I
points you could.
Yeah, and I think that this is actually pretty fair at 6 points,
Yeah.
and taking away that free evade token is pretty big.
And I'm just doing a wellness check on our friend Manny, who is still alive. Just to throw it over to you. What do you think
Yeah.
of these two?
Oh, of these two defenders, I mean, well, as a person who doesn't really fly Empire, I am curious to see how much of a splash they're gonna do.
As someone who
I
flies against a lot of Empire
Yeah,
though,
you sure
oh,
do.
it's true.
what do you feel? How do you feel about sitting on the opposite side of the table?
Gotcha. I mean, Colonel Jendon, it'd be scary, but I mean, the large factor is, well, who are his friends next to him? If it's like a four ship list with Colonel Jendon, I'll feel like all right about it. Like not, I'm like pretty confident even. But Captain Yor in a five ship list, I could see him being a bit threatening. So learning how to defend against that is gonna be fun.
Yeah, I feel like Jendon is a ship that is going to have to earn its keep. Like if you're putting Jendon into your list, you really want him to basically be the same as two ships, or at least be able to take out two
Yeah,
ships, to make his worth on this like sit on the
yeah.
table.
And everyone's gonna go after him too.
Unless you have another beater, like if you have Jendon and Soontir, you gotta yeah, like
Yeah,
give a reason to split the focus.
yeah. It's the only way I think you can take Jendon down is to go all in. But if you do
hmm
burn him down, then your opponent's game's pretty much over already.
Right.
That's the downside of flying a 7 point ship or higher is that
Yeah.
when you lose it, it's almost always game over. Almost always game over.
And
Not
that's one
always.
of the reasons why we haven't like seen too many defenders in the
Yeah.
current meta.
They're a little predictable with the 3 to 5 speed triggers, whether
hmm
it be full throttle or Chiss engineering. And when they're stressed, it's they're like, oh well, you're gonna go fast, you're gonna go straight. You almost always know when they're gonna do a white 4K. So that's the other downside with defenders is I think in the right hands, someone can do very well with them, but they
hmm
can be very predictable. They
Yes,
would know what they're doing.
this is why I'm actually though really happy to see that computer assisted handling and even push the limit on Jendon, is that really kind of takes away a level of predictability, especially if you get like everybody scrummed up in the middle of the board. I think the ability for them to not pay the consequences from that one or two hard is is going to make them a little less predictable, and raises the skill level on flying them a little bit too.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, before we move on, do you guys see this as being meta warping, like as completely shifting the way things are now with what's popular, like triple arcs, boy Luke, Han, or Lando now? Do you see this making a huge shakeup, or what do you think?
For Empire, I feel like the only ship that might shake things up, actually two, is Captain Yor and Cinderfell. I'm not sure about the
Mhm.
bombers, but at least for the ties, I am having a hard time trying to think why you would choose them over Backstabber and Mahler, because if you're not flying um the I6 defender, yeah, Colonel Jendon, you're probably flying Vader. And if you're already flying Vader, why would you choose any other tie except for those two? And just take a look at the other ties. I don't think they can compete. But
Yeah, the
for
other ties are
Rebels,
are
I can
yeah,
see.
interesting.
Ah,
Hmm. What do you think, Andrew?
so
Meta shaking, warping.
no, I don't think it's meta warping. I do think it's going to give more options for Empire to play. I think we're gonna see. I think we're gonna see more varied Empire lists. So I think it's going to be shaking in terms of we're going to start seeing more Captain Yours. We might see less double decimator lists because you have an option to go a little acier. Like I think that now there is a um the Empire to me feels like it is becoming the ace faction now. That this is where you're going to start seeing like heavy hitting I6s. I think it's going to give a reason for all the other factions to make sure that they have at least one I6 in their list, because you might have to be matched up with a Jenin and a Soontir in one list, and you have the issues you had in 2.0 when you were flying against Republic aces, where halfway through the game you might not be able to catch them ever again. So I think that it's going to be meta shifting in that way,
I feel like if that's
Yeah,
the
if that
case,
makes
it
sense.
definitely puts a couple factions even further back. Like, my go-to example would be CIS, right? If you need an I6 in your list, what I6 do they have?
Django.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, but like,
Is Sunfac I6?
So, yeah,
yeah, I
Sunfac's not
guess.
very favored these days with
No.
all the ships out there. Yeah, I would say this might be more meta warping once we get a full points change. I don't think right now that they're gonna do too much, but it does clarify the way
Yeah.
the Empire has even more high initiative to deal with now. And
Hmm.
like you said, just they've been leaning into the high initiative for a while, and they have more options. We'll see how they utilize it, but um,
And yeah.
yeah, it does tie
Last but
into the next. Oh, God.
Oh, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Scythe 6, the BOE, which is an I2 TIE fighter, which has an extra hull,
Mhm.
and is doing an FO thing where when you perform an attack at range 1 to 2, you can roll an extra die. So it's a 3 die I2 3-point TIE fighter.
Isn't it perform an attack at 2 to 3? You get an extra die, or is it just range
That's
one?
1
It's
to 2.
one.
So basically, he has like an extra, a
Yeah,
heightened range 1. Um, but that's like FO has been kind of the cheating extra die attacks for me. So I think that we might see maybe some Site 6 just being a 3 tie, or a
yeah,
3 red
another
die.
extra attack die
Yeah, extra attack die.
pilot. Yeah.
Also, has a focus in or has a barrel roll into red evade linked action, which is interesting.
Lots to explore. We don't, I wish we
100%.
could go into
Yeah, yeah. I just
everything,
wanted to
but
give
yeah.
a shout out for just some I like cross faction bending stuff.
So this we talked about how some like you said, are being more pushed. And I want to talk about just the overall nature of power creep, and that's I think a saying that people throw out there sometimes. I want to know how you guys define power creep. I'll ask Manny first. Manny, what's
Yeah,
like your definition of that? Your
it's
own
always a
definition.
hard thing to define, but it's easy to point out once you see it, right? If I had to give like a definition, I would say new cards that come out that make previous previously existing cards pretty redundant or just straight up unused. So I don't know, a quick example would be all of the ties that are in like the standard loadout category have that extra hull and all these other abilities that I can't see why you would choose like a build your own tie over a standard loadout tie. So that's something that I believe is a type of power creep. I'll
Okay.
let
Yeah,
Andrew
yeah. Go ahead, Andrew.
yeah.
No, I would agree with that definition. Yeah, it's that the new product is making previous versions or older versions obsolete.
Yeah, I would say that to add to that, it's to me, the power creep is when something emerges as such an ideal and obvious choice that even if everything else is still good, you are making a mistake in not using the ideal and obvious choice.
Yeah, I mean that's a big part of it.
Yeah. So that this will just the beginning, the tip of the iceberg of this kind of conversation we're going to have about just game design, balancing the precedent that's set with introducing certain things you can do into the game that maybe we haven't seen before. And it's always the intention is always good behind putting it into the game. It's to freshen things up and make things different and feel more unique, but sometimes it can start an avalanche. It's like the first pebble to start an avalanche. Some games have died because of these sorts of um, power creepy things that emerge that just kind of start a cascading effect that fundamentally breaks the game and gets people to leave. This has nothing to do with my opinion on how I think the game is now. I don't think there is a lot of power creep in X-Wing right now,
Yeah,
but I do think that there is more than I expected to see maybe a year ago. But I don't worry about it that much. I just think that it's becoming a little bit more apparent than maybe we had been dealing with a year ago, for example. And so, for you guys, I'll ask another question. What is the tipping point for you personally when a game gets too unbalanced? How long would you, where do you draw the line? General. I'm just talking about gaming in general here, not maybe X Wing specifically, but when would you walk away from a game because of this kind of thing?
Ooh. Um Andrew, I'm gonna let yeah, I'm gonna let you answer that first.
sure. Yeah. I honestly, for this, I mean, I would walk away when it would get, you know, just too boring. I'm someone who, I switch around which factions I play. I like new things, but I also like a lot of variety in the lists I play, and I want to see, a meta that has a lot of like those lists. If it gets so broken, as to what I've heard with like some of the things in 1.0 where there's for each faction there is one definitive way to build that faction, and if you don't do it that way then you're wrong and you're going to pay for it. Or when you get to a point where like there's one or or maybe three lists that are all rock paper scissors with each other, but those are the only three great lists, but then they all counter each other. So basically tournaments are decided by your matchup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel Andrew kind of put my opinion into words better than I can. I mean, if you're a Scum or a CIS player, how have you not already quit the game? Honestly, um,
Because
like
you wanna prove everybody wrong that you're the one who can figure it out.
I mean,
I
he
mean,
makes he makes a point when he says that. Is more of a joke, but there's some sentiment behind it that I can
Yes.
yeah, right.
understand.
No, I think
I have a
everyone's
friend
bummed out.
Lloyd who is a pure Scum player, all through and through, and he has just kind of lost his passion in the entire game. And honestly, I can't blame him. I mean, if like I only play T70s, and if we ever enter like a format where T70s are not viable anymore, I'm out.
Yeah,
I mean, X-Wing, in my humble opinion, is not like in terms of its mechanics, it's not a great game, but like I like the flying aspect.
it's
Like
just yeah, it's
like
a
it's
simple enough
fun.
game in a lot of
I wouldn't
ways.
say that
Yeah.
it's like a well designed game.
What, X-Wing?
Yeah.
Oh. So,
That's
I had to go ahead and disagree with you there.
I feel like it's a
Uh,
future podcast. I feel like that's a discussion for a future
well,
podcast.
it's not it's a well I think it's a very well
I think
designed
it's a
game. I just
very
don't think it's
well-designed
a I
game.
just don't think it's a very good competitive game when you take when you put every factor into what makes like competitive X Wing like
Uh,
I could get behind that actually.
I
matchups
I think that's a better way of putting it actually. Yeah.
match well the fly better guys even said like shout out to DU and Ryan Farmer, like they mentioned that ultimately X-Wing is not it's not really a very balanced competitive game when you incorporate all the ways that you can win or lose your games in a tournament, versus some other more popular competitive games that people play.
yeah,
But
hard
that's
I think it's hard to balance.
it certainly is with 7 factions, although technically there are 6 if you don't count Scum. We're almost at
Yeah, I
that point where
mean,
we almost don't even count Scum.
yeah. I mean, because I will say, like, you are walking that line where, yeah, like, not only does it have to be a tournament game, but it also has to be thematic as well. So where those factions are
Yeah.
doing things that feel like flying for those factions would do. But yeah, with
Yeah, I
seven,
mean,
it's tough.
yeah, so just to go into specifics,
Yeah,
about like why competitively X-Wing might to me isn't like the best, and this you should take solace in this as all those competitive players, is that X-Wing is right now specifically on the forefront of things, is heavily influenced by scenario packs and specific factions getting now 2 factions getting 2 of them now.
yeah, they're getting fed.
They're getting new stuff, they're getting good stuff, they're getting cheap stuff, efficient stuff. Others are not. Resistance, Scum, Separatist, and First Order are not
Hmm.
benefiting from that. That's 4 out of 7 factions. um or I guess Separatists, you could say Siege of Coruscant, right? But it's not to the extent the Republic has benefited
I
from it.
right, absolutely.
Yeah. The other thing is just pure matchups. There are just some lists that you play or that you'll play against that are like really good at like that one scenario, or like really like you have bullseye mechanics and like prockets, like oh a large base on the other side of the table, and then you go up
Yeah,
against aces, and you're like, man, I mean, I'm making all the right moves and choices, but my opponent simply has perfect information and is
or
reacting to everything I'm doing.
right, or you're going up against the one separatist list or the FO list that turns everything into crits. So like picking up crates is, why even do it?
Yeah.
You fly a bunch. You feel like you fly against a bunch of X1s on salvage. Ugh.
And then there's just the dice aspect, which is one of the best parts about X-Wing, because it just kind of makes the randomness of like, oh yeah, just because you have a range 1 double modded shot doesn't mean you're gonna get the kill. Doesn't mean you're gonna get 4 hits or 5 hits. Like, but
It's exciting. Yeah.
You get diced sometimes. Like your
Well,
opponent
it
will roll out of everything, and you just be like, man, I can't buy any average variance in this game. It's just not working
Sucks to
out.
suck, I guess. But
well,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
no, I mean, I think that little bit of variance is important. Like that's the reason why I love X-Wing over chess is that, X-Wing, the more skilled player will probably, still all like win, but the variance smooths it over just a little bit so that people who are almost as good still have a chance of winning and still have a reason to play like those games out in tournaments and
Yeah.
things.
The other thing that I mean, just the last of the many factors, 'cause I just want to really make this point clear, is the the way they approach to the game. There's a lot of people who play this game because they love Star Wars, for example, and they're playing Han or Luke or Vader or who are all good, obviously still, or just like let me use a less Merrick or something, Lebo because it's their favorite character. They're more casual about it, and so when you take the people who love the game and want to play it at tournaments, but they have a more casual approach to it, pit it up against the people who net list and who are purely looking at data and statistics and probabilities, there's already a rift in terms of balance because people have chosen to approach the game competitively in various ways, which I think is overall something I like about it. It's not a complaint by any means, but it's just there's a lot of things that affect balance in this
Mhm.
game, and I just don't think ultimately, with all of that said, I just don't think that the game is a great balance competitive game in terms of totals global balance, especially right now when multiple factions are almost unplayable competitively, like winning tournaments type competitive.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would agree that there's a lot of factions that for sure need help.
Yeah. Yeah. But we don't have to dive down that rabbit hole. But let's talk about what it's what's become apparent now. We've been with Atomic Mass Games for a while. We've been able to see. I've heard firsthand, being able to have an awesome conversation with them about the way they see the game, what they're passionate about, the direction they're trying to take the game, and how they look at designing things. I guess I can just I'll start. Like I think Atomic Mass Games his is really their emphasis is on the more casual thematic nature appeal of X-Wing, improving on that side of it because the game has always had a good competitive scene. I think they're
Yep.
trying to add more features around scenarios, more pilots that feel thematic and fun to build out the narrative side of Star Wars X-Wing to feel like a more complete game where you can buy it at the game store and play it at your apartment without a mat on your kitchen island, or you can take it to the game store and play in a tournament. They want to appeal to every gamer who could touch this game. And I think we're seeing some unintended consequences of certain designs becoming very good in competitive play, and then we're seeing some that are designed exactly as they want it to be. That's the way that I see their priorities with the game. I'm curious how you guys see it. I know maybe I'll start with Manny
Yeah.
because I know Manny has some takes and opinions on this.
Oh
Go
yeah.
for it.
Yeah, AMG definitely wants us to play more of like the named pilots, the more famous pilots. I think they like the fact that there's like a Luke and a Darth Vader in almost every Rebel and Empire list. Um, uh, yeah, they're trying to broaden their appeal. Even I personally believe perhaps at the cost at the current core base. I find there to be less of an emphasis on just list building. I mean, specifically in terms of like building your own ships with upgrades. There's definitely been an emphasis on these center loadout cards, which me personally am not too crazy about. I'm a fan on how it's able to bring new people into the game. But in terms of I guess the competitive aspect, not that much of a fan. But yeah, I think I rambled enough. I will throw it to you, Andrew.
Yeah, I would agree that they are pushing more towards the fun design aspect of it, making some of these named pilots feel really special and awesome and cool, and they are, very cool. I see that now with the Battle of Endor, more than anything, I feel like AMG has an idea of what they want the Rebel and the Empire factions to look like and how they want them to play in a casual, but also in a tournament scene as well. So I feel like they're at the point where they are figuring out the identity for some of these factions and how they want tournament play. I don't think it's at the expense of a new player base though, and I don't think it's at the expense of like the casual players. The one thing that I do feel is shifting this a bit is like, the same thing where it's a company that makes this game, and at the end of the day they want to sell product.
Yeah.
And so they are, like a long time ago on an interview that I heard with, Fly Better, they mentioned things like, oh, the standard cards that are going to be coming in the core set, people won't need to buy the core set if they already own all the ships. And then they come out with like one Vader that's better than
They're
anything
literally called
else.
Pay to Win Vader is the nickname
Yeah.
for it. Yeah.
Yep.
I so we you are going to see like in the initial spoilers for Battle of Endor came out, and it was like, they came out with like Lando and Soontir, and you're like, whoa, these pilots are pushed. Everything else seems pretty
Yeah.
normal and tame, um uh, considering it, which is what I kind of thought. Was like, they have like, it seems like every set they're coming out with, there's going to be a big reason to buy it.
Yep.
And that's been kind of the design philosophy that's moving forward. So
Yeah.
Which
I
I would be okay with if it was shared amongst all of the other factions, right? If
right.
like if you're playing a if you're playing a power creep, don't just do favorites. Like at least try to do it
yeah.
amongst all of the other factions.
I agree with that. It's hard because a great point. It is a business. They're trying to push certain things to sell product. The frame of reference we have is obviously Fantasy Flight Games when they handled X-wing because they created it. And Fantasy Flight was always the way that they looked at the game and brought in new product and made, adjustments and erratas and all that stuff was much more on the competitive gameplay. Like they only cared about how things were faring at the highest level, and then it would trickle down all the way to those who played it casually. But they looked at the data. They cared very much about specific interactions and just basically looking at it from more of like a numbers perspective. And AMG is much more of a story based company. They're more about the experience, the playing, the flying the Star Wars ships around. FFG was more about the mechanics and about the specifics and maybe more the details. I'm not saying that one is superior than the other, but it's a fact that Fantasy Flight Games had a very different idea of what X-Wing was, and AMG has a different idea of what X-Wing is and should be
Yeah.
moving forward. And you can coexist with a still detail oriented, but now thematic and narrative based game, and that's where Atomic Mass Games is trying to take it. It's very clear that they very much more of a fan about just like, hey man, you're playing a Star Wars game with these cool painted ships. You're dogfighting. You've got objectives and satellites, and FFG was like, yeah, we tried scenarios and they didn't work, so yeah, just dogfighting. It's like that was the way they were. So
Yeah, I will say that AMG definitely has a way on how this game should be played. And I don't want to say it's like it's either my way or the highway, but it definitely did feel as if when 2.5 came out, it felt as if they told us that we were kind of playing the game wrong.
yeah,
And
it's always going to be a polarized. They if they I know that
It
if
was
they were to have
polarizing then. It'll
yeah.
be, yeah. Because I was gonna say,
Yeah,
I'm
they would have
disagreeing with that.
well, the wording was bad. Like, them flat out saying that people didn't know what the objective of the game was is just a false statement. That's not what they meant though. I know that's
Right,
ultimately they
right,
didn't
right
mean
now.
it. That but like you got to not say it that way because it does piss people off. It's like this is a dogfighting game. You're shooting at other ships and trying to
Yeah,
destroy them. That's the objective of the game. And so they got so much flack, so much heat for that.
yeah,
And things have obviously calmed down a lot. But yeah, it's one of those things where I think a lot of people felt very threatened because it's like, hey, we're taking literally everything, including list building, and we're flipping it upside down and changing everything. And
it was a
uh,
big change for sure.
it was a
yeah,
big change.
because 2.0 was just out there in terms of the games under their umbrella. That I believe 2.5 was their attempt of bringing it closer to what they
Where they want
like
it to be,
to they
basically.
yeah like to what they know. And yeah, that comes with upsides and downsides and a very polarized fan base. So yeah. And on the issue of power creep, just like one last thing, it's also
Yeah.
important to not power creep too fast because if you do, you make the previous product pretty redundant, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just want
So
to
yeah.
just touching on the power creep thing because I didn't really chime in on where I would draw the line. If I'm not having fun anymore, it's just really where I walk away.
Yeah.
I've taken more breaks from recently. I'll be honest. Like I've been playing this Imperialist that I am so good with, and I win so much with. I'm very fortunate that I've found something I have fun with, that I've had success with. But it's gotten to the point where I just like I'm not really. When I bring it, I'm like, here we go again, another just going through the motions. Not really enjoying it. Like I'm gonna bring it to Worlds, but I've felt the need to take some intermittent breaks from playing here and there just to keep myself fresh,
Yeah.
because I
I've
do feel like I'm seeing a lot of, or just I'm playing a lot of similar things, or playing against a lot of similar things, and I'm still having fun, but it's once you don't have any fun anymore, it that's when you kind of have to walk away,
I
at least
in
for
this
me.
yeah, in this in between time, I've been just trying new things. I've been playing extended lists, honestly, just to shake it up a bit.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Standard's gotten a little boring. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of choices, but it's just like Manny said. Like, I have components to play the other factions, and I'm like, but like, none of this is good compared to like these
Well,
all these standard loadout
I,
cards that I could use.
I
Like,
mean, I think it's gonna get shaken up again before Worlds with the Battle of Endor over Endor for sure.
yeah,
But
I
again,
don't think
only
it'll
for two
be.
factions, right?
Right.
Yeah, so more people might play. I'd be surprised if like a drastic shift to like everybody playing
No,
Empire and Rebels, but there will be more
no,
people
I
than
don't think
initially
it's
planned.
drastic, but it's gonna. I mean, it's exciting me just because it gives I have to practice against Soontir or with or like I'd like to get these ships like on the table just to figure them out because you're gonna see them.
Yeah, the standard loadout cards are so here's something I really like to hammer home in terms of like we need new players in this game, and we need more new players, and to continue that pattern of adding people into the community, the great community that is X-Wing. And I think outside of the complaints about there just being too much good stuff on one pilot, there is a way too much to keep track of with these new
Yeah,
SL cards. It's like it's absolutely ridiculous
It's gonna get
how
to the
yeah.
point where like
much
there's five Darth
information there is.
Vaders. I'm just like,
People are
all
gonna have
right,
to pause their
like
games to read their pilots to be like, "What can I do here?" Because there's 18 different things I can do here for
I was
one
going.
pilot.
Yeah, I was gonna say with the initial when they talked about they created the standardized cards for new players. I'm gonna call hokum on that right now. That no, these are not for new players. These are for players who
There.
are veterans and really
Yeah.
understand the game. Because even for me, it's a lot, and it's like I mean, honestly, I think that these cards are for us are for competitive players who've
Which is
played the
so
game
funny
for a
because I
while.
don't think that's what they're intending, though.
really, that's
Uh,
exactly what I think they're
You think
intending.
that
because it's like, hey,
you think
I have
they want people
yeah,
to buy
go.
the scenario packet and play it at home, like, I
yeah,
don't think they're trying
No,
to make this for the competitive players only.
well,
no, no,
I
no, 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 I
mean,
didn't say only. I no,
well, yeah,
I
exactly.
didn't say competitive players. I said experienced
Sorry.
players.
Oh, well, I to me, a veteran player is somebody that plays the game seriously and plays a lot because they've been playing it for a long
I
time.
don't know.
So,
So
Sure.
like,
But
I
it's for
mean,
people who know how a B-wing flies, and then when you say, "Hey, look at all these like crazy linked actions you can do. Look at all this
yeah,
like cool
yeah.
stuff."
No,
Then you're
I
like,
get that.
"Oh, this is
Yeah.
different. This is special."
Like, man, streaming these games, like streaming games with this stuff, I'm like, I have what's going on? Why is this person spending a charge to remove a red and orange token at the same time? Why are they rolling a die randomly in the middle of activation? Like, all it's just like it's even just covering it from a commentary perspective. It's like I have to go over and reread the card over and over again
There
because I can't memorize this
yes.
stuff. It's so much to keep
Like
track of.
when we're doing commentary, there's or for anyone's doing commentary, there's going to be a lot of those like, "Oh, wait, where is that target lock coming from? Oh, right, this ship has the special links."
I have like a bit of a tinfoil hat theory,
Here we
and
go.
please let me know if I'm wrong. But I personally believe that AMG is trying to phase out like build your own list with upgrades for these for these standard loadout cards. And like not through power creep, but just like, well, if you're not flying these standard loadout cards, then what exactly are you doing? If you are trying to win. Am I wrong, or is that just like a vibe that I'm getting, and it's like and it's just me?
I don't think that I have a different take on maybe what's going on.
Because again, I'm gonna like go and point to their other games, like to
Mhm.
their other like with Shatterpoint and Battlecast Protocol. All other games have kind of revolved around like a standard loadout aspect, and again with the whole upgrades and like to build your own, they are just not comfortable with that. And case in point, Armada and how they kind of let that game die, because that is a game that is truly dependent on making your own capital ships, choosing your upgrades, crew, and they just are choosing to no longer support it.
I don't think that it's because that they're uncomfortable people building their own. I think that it is easier for them to just design a product that fits into a current meta, but then also they can design a product that is really good in that like one form to make you buy like that product. It's the only place that you could get like that core set version of Vader. Um and they can control how good or bad it is by just raising the base points for the pilot score like skill. um
I,
is that they wouldn't be able to sell a core set unless they put in like a whole brand new upgrade or something. So by packaging it together on one card, they don't have to like create a new game component. They can take existing game components, cost it effectively, and then now make you
Yeah,
like
but from a
buy
list
that
building
one.
perspective, like I can't play. I can't really play the customizable Tomax because he's just so much more neutered now than the
Right.
standard one.
Yeah.
Like
But
the
if
new
the other
wedge over
one
the build your own soon tier, old soon tier, makes way for the new soon tier. It's just such a extending pattern now. The Arc 170s over the build your own Arc 170s.
Yeah,
I
oh
mean,
yeah.
like,
No, I mean
why would
it's
you ever fly customizable Luke or
well, I mean,
a Darth
so
Vader, right?
in the future, I mean, all you have to do one, I mean, I will say that right now, because the other Darth Vaders are so good, there's no reason why the build your own needs to be 1 point. You could make that 1 point lower, like a 6 point,
True,
and
but I
it's
don't
fine.
see them
But
changing that anytime
but they
soon.
could. I mean, they could raise the points. If Luke goes up 1 point, for the Battle of Yavin, Luke goes up 1 point. Now he's unplayable. Now you
Well,
want to build the. Now you have to grab
yeah, like
the build your own.
yeah, it's true. Like they're able to, but I see no evidence that they have a desire to.
Well, I mean, they're also pretty new, but I mean, but I don't think that the core. I mean, who knows what's going on with their game design or what they're thinking, but I don't feel that the standardized cards are coming from a place that they like don't like the build your own aspect. I think it's more of that it's an easy way for them to make a pilot and a ship very good, but in a very controlled way.
And, I mean, I will happily say that I'm wrong when they release a new upgrade card.
Or a
That
pilot that isn't standardized. Like that
that's
is
Well, I mean,
true.
but they
Yeah,
that's like
came
the
out they came
I
out
will
with
be the
YT.
Hot
first one
Shots
to admit
just a couple months ago, though. They came out with the Hot Shots
Oh,
and Aces 2
that was
pack.
still
couple
FFG,
months ago.
correct?
That was a long.
Or
That's
like
No,
like
a
a
that
year
was an
ago?
FFG.
year.
That was an FFG product that had
Yeah,
Angie's name on it.
Oh, okay.
And that was a long time ago
But
now.
but
Believe it
I
or not,
mean, if they come out with another Hot Shots and Aces pack,
that would be great.
then that'll be
yeah,
And
it's
I
true. I will happily say I'm
but
wrong on this podcast in a future episode.
sure.
But I mean, I'm just looking at what we have right now and what's likely going to happen in the future. I'm just like I just don't see it in the realm of possibility. I will be more than happy to be proven wrong.
Yeah,
yeah
I
I
mean,
will
well, this
happily eat
is
crow.
this is the drawback of like coming out with like something new, like this these talents that are stapled on these pilots now, like True Grit from like the Bomber pack. Like
mhm.
you can put True Grit on that one bomber and it has like that ability. It's easy to control because if you come out with the True Grit talent card and everybody can use it, that's harder for or it's easier for that to become broken and to price it, you know,
Yeah, and I think it
efficiently
shows.
when any pilots can take it.
Yeah, and I think it shows that is actually like a pretty damning part about this is that these cards are balanced around the scenario and not the competitive game. At least like that's where their priorities lie in terms of balancing.
Well, I mean the bomber packs are balanced around the competitive game.
I don't know. I feel like we're just talking in circles at this point,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, we kind of are.
it's yeah, it's they said that they believe that that list building is a an important feature of the game of X-wing, and that
Well,
they
yes, but
recognize the value of it. Hold on.
oh yeah, okay.
When they said that, and at the time we had more recent product that kind of affirmed that belief. I
Mhm.
don't feel it as much now with more recency bias. It seems like that's skewing the other direction. My imperialist now has 4 out of 5 of my pilots are standardized. I don't love that. It's easier in terms of cleanup and setup. Sure, it's
Yeah.
great, awesome, good, great, but like it's not what I need. Like, oh,
Yeah.
like, I only want to play stuff that's easy to put on the table. Like, no, it's okay. I can spend 2 minutes
No,
grabbing components.
building your own ships is a lot of fun. I mean,
Yeah,
that's why I don't feel that this is something that is going to go away, because they know I know I would feel that the designers would also feel that that is a very
yeah.
fun
I
aspect and what people like to do.
I do hope so
And if you
for
play
Yeah.
sure.
Resistance and FO, you have to build your own lists.
Well, yeah, true,
Well, yeah,
but I
you get a
mean, they
choice.
definitely have like some
Yeah.
favorites, at least
Yeah,
among Rebels and Empire.
yeah,
I
Sure.
mean, again, I'd like to be proven wrong. I guess we'll see soon. Adepticon's coming up, so
yeah,
we should be hearing about some new product, right? Right?
yeah.
We'll see
And
in a couple
if
months.
we don't, then we'll have a different conversation.
Yeah, you'd hope
I'm
so.
going to be cautiously
Abandoned ship.
optimistic.
Go ahead, a new hobby, new community.
Oh, come on. Heroes of the Artillery Cluster is very fun,
The
and also I would say that the
I'm the
X-wing
crazy
community,
I'm the crazy homeless guy just shouting out, "The end is near."
I that
Yeah.
you and all of Reddit.
Yeah, it's true.
That's impressive that you're podcasting without any, I don't know what kind of power outlet situation you got, but good for you. You found a place.
Yeah.
Manny is casting from a subway right now.
I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, like last week's episode too. Like the X-wing community is so strong, and right now that I'm not, worried that anything would that it would be, the entire collapse of the game in the near future if they didn't come out with anything new.
Yeah, hopefully. But here's like the advantage of like being a skeptic. Either you're pleasantly surprised or you're right.
Or your expectations are met because you're a skeptic. Yeah,
There
for
you go.
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's
I
fair.
think yeah. I guess I won't go into it, but you mentioned Adepticon, Manny. That is coming up. Everybody, I believe the last chance qualifier is now sold out, March 20th through the 24th in Schaumburg at the Renaissance Hotel. That is where Worlds will be for X-Wing. Andrew and I and a few other of our locals will be there. Come and say hi. You'll see us in our
Yeah.
Worlds 2024 Chicago shirts with the skyline and the X-Wing flag, the patented, not really patented design that we have. Very proud of it. Is there any last words, guys, before I sign us off here?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, really excited. Hopefully, by the time this podcast comes out, people will be able to get and play Battle Over Endor, and I'm looking to get in a game or two of the scenario because it looks fun.
Yeah, I think it might be as late as March 15th, according to Asmodee. But if people get it early, we'll definitely
Oh, well, there we go.
see people post pictures. So yeah, I want to thank our continued partner Strata Strike, who creates incredible gaming components on Etsy, including amazing components like wood template trays, objective tokens, and more. For X-wing, you can use discount code 312 Squadron. That's 312 capital S and then lowercase QUADRON for 15% off your entire purchase for anything on their Etsy store. Be sure to follow us on Twitch to catch us live. You can catch our edited content on YouTube. You can like us on Facebook. Jump into the conversation directly with us in our Discord. I also want to thank all of our patrons who have supported us. A lot of them get exclusive edited content and these unedited live stream sessions posted exclusively to them and early. I just want to give a shout out to our patrons: Kevin, I want to give Mike, David, Dean, Digikind, William, Dale, Matthew, Adam, Brendan, Michael, Justin, Mark, John, Joshua, Daniel, Alex, Steven, Matt, Peter, Andrew, and Scott. Thank you all for keeping us going. It really, really helps us a lot. We really do appreciate it. To everyone that listens to our podcast and watches our streams and is just a part of the community, we do appreciate it greatly. Thank you all so much. My name is Nick Sperry.
I'm Andrew Kuba.
And I'm Emmanuel.
Thanks, guys, for listening. Thank you all.
And have a wonderful day.
Good night. Good day.